Good evening, I'm Shane Jones, leading the news at 7. Prime Minister Freundel Stuart has presented an updated Public Service General Order and a new Public Service Qualifications Order, which he says will make the public sector more effective and fair. He says these changes will establish 555 posts, which are now temporary.
The passing of this order will now facilitate the making of a number of appointments in the public service. It will also accelerate the recruitment process in terms of the qualifications order, because there are departments and heads of departments and so on who prefer to wait until these formalities were out of the way.
Prime Minister Stuart says this will also bring about a change in the hiring of civil servants, especially in the technical sectors.
What they do does not necessitate the possession of academic qualifications, but necessitates the possession of certain competencies. And therefore, the Caribbean vocational qualification is now getting formal recognition in the new qualifications order of 2016. And that is a great leap forward.
Minister of Health John Boyce says government has commenced a debushing program. He was speaking in the lower house as he moved a resolution for just over $3 million from the Consolidated Fund to supplement the 2016-2017 estimates under Head 23, Ministry of Health. He says the program will present several employment opportunities for Barbadians.
This program is envisaged in the first instance to take us up to the end of financial year 2016-17, March 31st, and will be managed by contracted workers to the Ministry of Health, coordinators, 2 coordinators, 7 supervisors, truckers as we deem necessary, and general workers as the program rolls out. Obviously, there will be opportunities for employment in the different areas.
Minister Boyce stressed that everyone has a duty to keep the island cleaned and added that the government will be seeking to recover expenses from owners whose lots were cleaned in past debushing programs.
In terms of costs, a total of some 2,670,000 square feet would have been cleared at a cost of something like $627,000. So that was the cost of a much shorter program than the one that we have contemplated here.
Opposition MP Dwight Sutherland hopes all areas will benefit from the program. While the BLP supports it, he says it's a bit late.
In my view, I think this program is a bit late, and I think a program like this ought to be rethink. And I think the government, when we talk about greening the environment, it's not about growing bush, but it's about dealing with the issues of beautification and ensure that Barbados is not overladen with bush and trees that are not beneficial to us.
Mr. Sutherland also hopes former Beautify Barbados program workers will be hired.
When we go around Barbados selecting many persons to execute this debushing program, I would like the government and the Honorable Minister, member for Christchurch South, to include these persons who are sent home. Because indeed, in our opinion, Barbados Party believe that they were done an injustice.
Minister of Culture, Sports and Youth Stephen Lashley, in his support of the debushing program, said that apart from being a sound environmental initiative, it will also aid in road safety.
All of us traverse the highways and byways of Barbados. We recognize, of course, that there is an overgrowth of grass and so on, the cuscus grass along the roads, making it very difficult for vehicular traffic to maneuver along our roadways. And I hope that this program will be systematic enough to be able to address some of those critical areas, and there's several critical areas that it is very difficult to actually maneuver, particularly around certain corners. And I hope that this program will be targeted in the first instance at those areas to ensure maximum road safety.
The debushing program is just a continuation of the Democratic Labour Party's Environmental Trust. Minister of Housing and Lands Dennis Kelman said Phase 1 started in the 1960s with the late Errol Barrow.
The present Prime Minister has now taken it to a different stage where he has recognized that parks and open spaces, if treated in the right way, could be areas that can be used for developmental purposes, can be areas where people can create self-employment for themselves. So this whole debushing program and so on must be seen not only from the environmental point of view, but must be seen as an opportunity to create areas that can be parks and also open spaces, and also as an opportunity to help look after the environment of the country.
Meanwhile, opposition MP for St. James Central, Kerry Simmons, is saying that homeowners failing to keep their surroundings clean is directly because of the state of the country's economy.
In good economic times, Barbadian property owners were prepared to pitch in to cut the grass next door to them, or able to do so. But in harder times, sir, a chap is going to find it very difficult to find the extra gasoline for the weed whacker, the parks and so on, if his weed whacker given trouble, or if he has a gardener, if he's an old person, to pay that gardener to do the house next door to him.
Barbados is set to realize a projected US $14 million increase in tourism revenue for the 2016-2017 winter season. It's coming through global tour operator giant TUI, which is sending significant additional business to the island in the form of a 4th weekly flight. The service will run for an extended period of 24 weeks, an increase of 3 weeks for the season. 27,000 tourists are expected to visit the island as a result of the program. Last week, Minister of Tourism and International Transport Richard Seeley, along with executives from the Barbados Tourism Marketing Inc., met with executives from the TUI Group. The passenger growth includes visitors on board the recently launched TUI Discovery ship, which visits Barbados as part of its winter program. TUI anticipates 25% of passengers will stay in Barbados before and after their cruise, which will increase visitor numbers and spend with local restaurants, hotels, and attractions. A major boost is on the cards for Barbados' renewable energy drive. Government has secured a loan from the Inter-American Development Bank to the tune of $34 million to enhance energy security and sustainability here on the island. Lisa Lord has the details.
Government is expected to use the IDB funding to move ahead with the diversification of Barbados' renewable energy mix. That means it will promote the use of cleaner fuels for power generation, increase the use of renewable energy sources, along with energy-efficient applications in both the public and private sectors. Meantime, government priorities in the electricity sector include reducing electricity prices, increasing energy security, using cleaner fuels, and reducing negative environmental impacts. Barbados aims to have renewable energy contribute 65% of total peak electricity demand by 2030 and to achieve a 22% reduction in electricity consumption by 2029. The island, according to the IDB, also intends to achieve a 30% economy-wide reduction in greenhouse gas emissions by 2030 compared with 2008. The project goes further and will finance improvements to the island's existing natural gas infrastructure to ensure natural gas service continuity. Lisa Lord, CBC News.
Minister of Education Ronald Jones is criticizing some teachers for what he calls unfair treatment of students. The comments were made in reference to the ongoing impasse between the Caribbean Examinations Council and the Barbados Secondary Teachers Union over the correcting of school-based assessments. Mr. Jones says the teachers have a responsibility to the students, but admitted that no resolution was on the cards as yet.
This has to do with the teacher as a professional. This has to do with the commitment for our children, our care, our love, our regard, and how we want to transition them successfully to the future. We take all of these things sometimes they go right. It's my right, this right, that right, the third right, without looking at the responsibilities that we have. And I shudder because there is no resolution in sight.
The Education Minister was speaking at the St. Michael's School Speech Day and Prize-Giving Ceremony. He lauded the St. Michael's school teachers for their work in correcting SBAs, but made mention of an unnamed secondary school where 180 SBAs were submitted, but none were assessed.
That's not fair. Can never be fair. Can never be right. That students at third form could be celebrating like so many others because the rights are greater than the sum of everything else.
Okay, we'll take a short break here and come back with more news.
Don't let your data experience slow you down. Step up to Digicel, Barbados' fastest 4G network, more than twice as fast as the slow network. Get more with Digicel. Digicel, the fastest 4G network in Barbados. Dial *153# to sign up to Digicel today.
What's your idea of holiday happiness? Watching the kids open presents. Preparing for a new arrival.
The look on his face.
Add to your holiday happiness with a Scotia Plan loan from Scotiabank. You could win cash and more. Get your loan today at your nearest branch. Conditions apply.
It's the most wonderful Christmas with Flow with 5 ways to win $50,000. Just activate any prepaid or postpaid plan, top up $15 or more, pay your bill on time and in full, or sign up for the best in entertainment with Flow TV. That's 5 wonderful ways to win $50,000 from Flow. All this and much more from Flow this wonderful Christmas. Visit us in-store today.
It's the most wonderful time of the year.
Peoples, we store just got even better. Come on in. Come down to the new renovated People's Market in Tudor Bridge with bigger aisles and even more in store. All your general grocery needs. A whole new fruits and vegetables section. Beer, wine and liquor. A wide selection of meat and fish. And everything for your outdoor chilling and barbecue grilling. But most of all, everything at lower prices. Right, Miss Evans?
That's right, Ma. And now we have the People's Mall too.
Peoples, come on down to the People's Market in Tudor Bridge.
Government is assuring fire officials that they will be getting the tools they need to get the job done. Attorney General Adriel Brathwaite spoke about plans in this regard at a special awards ceremony recognizing firefighters and their partners for their work during the year. Mr. Brathwaite says government is moving to improve accommodation for fire officers across the country with assessments already done at St. John Fire Station and plans to shift operations from Weston to a new location in St. Peter. In relation to equipment, the AG says the department will have at its disposal new tenders to improve response.
We had promised that we will try to refurbish your fleet over a period of 3 years. I think the first set of vehicles have arrived and we are expecting another 2 this year. So we're gonna do that. So that's one of the successes that I look back on in terms of our plans for the year, and I said, all right, fine, mark that. We've gotten that out of the way.
The Attorney General also gave an update on efforts to transform the fire station at Art Hall into a regional training center.
We want to be the teaching center of the Caribbean, if not of the Eastern Caribbean. And therefore, that is our vision for Art Hall, that in fact, it will not be only there for us. Is it Mr. Corbin who's supposed to be, or is it Mr. Bishop who's supposed to be the teacher? Mr. Bishop? is it Carlos, is it? Carlos Bishop and Mr. Small, that after their names you put teacher. And in fact, we want you guys to always be there, and to, in fact, that in many ways, to make Arch Hall into a profit center in its own right.
An alternative form of medical treatment known to be used since the 1700s is being developed in Barbados. And one young Barbadian who's practicing hypnotherapy believes it's here to stay. Denise Blackman has that story.
This image is what comes to mind when most people think of hypnosis, an out-of-body experience, mind control and other spooky things. No wonder I was a bit apprehensive when I entered Insight Consulting Barbados, the office of local hypnotherapist Krishnan Hurdle. Of course, he tried to clarify what he knew I was thinking.
Hypnosis is really not mind control. When a person comes to me, my job as a hypnotherapist is to help them to get over their challenge. So they come to me with specific goals, and the relationship is a relationship built on trust, and as a professional relationship.
So, how does it work? Well, Mr. Hurdle says people suffering with some emotional burden or anxiety basically come to distress.
Many persons can identify with perhaps being in a stressful situation, and stress for some brings on headaches, migraines. It can bring on physical tension in the body, anxiety, and there are many what we call somatic manifestations, where bodily responses, physiological responses to things that we think about.
It also applies to more severe cases like panic attacks or effects of a traumatic experience.
It is not about suppressing the memory, suppressing a traumatic memory. It's actually about helping them to change how it's processed in their mind, because we want to transfer it from short-term memory, which is reliving it over and over again, to long-term memory, something that happened in the past.
When they decide what the client wants to achieve, by the end of the session, he begins by talking to them, instructing them on what to do or what to think about.
We collaboratively work on the script, what will be saying to them when we actually go into hypnosis. So again, they're not unconscious, they're not zoned out, and they're not turning their will over to me. Hypnosis is simply having your mind fully engaged. The only challenge is how do you target your thoughts, how do you focus your thoughts, so that you're able to manage a certain situation.
I tried it, but only for about 5 minutes as I was still apprehensive, but Mr. Hurdle says his record speaks for itself. So far, he's helped clients stop smoking and overcome migraines and insomnia. And he also offers pain relief during pregnancy or surgery. Mr. Hurdle is one of only 2 practicing hypnotherapists in Barbados, and they currently stand outside of the Barbados Paramedical Association.
Things like hypnosis has been seen as alternative therapy. This is actually integrative, so it is used in conjunction with medical treatment. So I'm lobbying them to have it accepted in the paramedical as one of the services with under the Barbados Paramedical Association.
Mr. Hurdle spent many years working with the Inter-School Christian Fellowship, or ISCF, and is also a certified life coach who's studying counseling. But for now, he's focused on making a name for himself and for hypnotherapy in Barbados. Denise Blackman, Cbc News.
Thanks, Denise. The joy of the Christmas season is beginning to spread across the island. And yesterday, there were many smiles on the faces of several patients of the pediatric ward of the Queen Elizabeth Hospital. Governor General Sir Elliot Belgrave was in the foyer to hand out gifts to several patients and to the parents of others who were not well enough to attend. His Excellency shared not only gifts, but words of comfort, a few jokes, and took photos. Chief Medical Officer Dr. Joy St. John, CEO Dr. Dexter James, and Head of Pediatrics at the QEH, Dr. Clyde Cave, were among the officials on hand to greet the Governor General. They were serenaded by the St. Leonard's Boys Choir and the choir of the Hinesbury Primary School. Still to come, a look at stories from across our region.